Welcome back, I'm Multimeteor. This is Duels of the Planeswalkers 2014, Modded for Greatness. And we're checking out some of the Firemind's decks here. One of these decks will be Law of the Skies, because I'm really anxious to see his take on the Azorius deck here, or the Azorius theme. Um, yeah, alright, so we have... he's not really... for some reason he really likes the fetch lands here. He's not a huge fan of, or maybe he is, I don't know, but he's not really using the shock lands, maybe because nobody modded them yet, but no, that can't be right. I've seen them in other decks. Anyways, you have 20 basic lands and 4 evolving wilds. I guess one reason could be that he might want to keep the balance so that you can play these decks up against some of the default decks. Not sure, but that might be it. Anyways, we have a couple of Mana Tithe, a card that I've never seen before, and that's a white counterspell for 1. Kind of like Mana Leak, except that it's just 1 mana that your opponent has to pay. There's actually, is that Spell Spike or something like that? I forget what it's called, but there's a blue spell, counter spell, which is also 1 mana and is basically the same effect. You have a couple of new Prov Guild Mages, 2 cost 2/2. Target creature gains flying until end of turn for 2, and for 5 you can detain target non-land permanent an opponent controls. So that's pretty decent. Then we have a couple of Deputy of Acquittals from the Dragon's Maze set. 2 cost 2/2 with flash, and when it enters the battlefield you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. Really cool card, and it works really well in an Azorius deck, basically because you get to reuse your detain creatures. And speaking of which, you have 3 Azorius Arrestors, a 2/1 for 2. When it enters the battlefield, you get to detain a creature an opponent controls. And in case you don't know what detain is, you see this goblin in the background right there, perhaps a Rakdos goblin, perhaps well, maybe not an Izzet goblin, to be honest. He's detained. He doesn't get to block, he doesn't get to attack, and he doesn't get to use his activated abilities until your next turn. So that's pretty cool. Aside from that, we have 2 Inaction Injunction, 2 cost with detain. Well, it detains a creature, not a non-land permanent, and you get to draw a card, which is almost the best part of this card. You don't cast it to not detain a creature, of course, but you cast it to detain a creature, and then it recycles itself. So that's really awesome, right there. You have a couple of Wall of Denials, Defender, Flying Shroud. Not sure if it's an Azorius card. I think it's just what the game does here. It puts it uses these guild seals as a signet for the background right there. Anyways, it's a 0/8 with Defender, Flying, and Shroud, and it's a 3 cost. That's a little insane. Not gonna like it. I wonder which set this is from. You have 3 Liev Sky Knights, 3 cost 3/1, a really good card by the way, with flying, like a 3/1 with evasion, and when it enters the battlefield you get to detain target non-land permanent and opponent controls. So that's really powerful. 3 of those. You have another fairly decent card, not amazing, but it kind of fits the theme. Minister of Impediments, 3 cost 1/1 that gets to tap a creature. Reminds me of the card in what the hell is its name? It used to be in the 2003 version of the game in the Odric deck, in the mono white Odric deck. Anyways, yeah, it you see this this lawmaker in the background. He's just reciting all the different rulings and whatever, and this Minotaur doesn't really have anything to do. He's pretty much bound by law, and that's what Azorius do. While most other guilds are about like medieval ways of getting what you want and punishing your opponents or your enemies or whatever. Azorius is very bureaucratic, and it's all for them. It's all about making sure that you follow the laws, and if you don't, you get entangled in a magical web of lawmaking and yeah, all that sort of nasty stuff. And we have Stoic Ephemera, 3 cost 5/5 Spirit with Defender and Flying. When Stoic Ephemera blocks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. Okay, that's interesting. So that's basically a way of getting rid of up to a 5/5 creature. You have Warden of Eva's Isle, which is a new card, I believe, or at least it's a reprint, but it might be a new card. It's a 3 cost 2/2 with flying, and creature spells with flying you cast cost 1 less to cast. So here we see the name of the deck, Law of the Skies, kind of come into play, because that makes your Tower Drakes cheaper. And the Tower Drake is a 3 cost 2/1 with flying, and it gets +0/+1 against Stone Skin or whatever that old card is called by paying 1 white, and you could do this until you have no more white mana to spend. Here's an amazing card. It's kind of like people were debating whether this or Oblivion Ring was the better card, and they kind of do the same thing. The problem is that you can't Detention Sphere and another Detention Sphere, but you can Oblivion Ring a Detention Sphere. So you kind of want to mix and match these two spells. But Detention Sphere is awesome, especially against decks that run like token production or sorry, not yeah, token production, yeah. Either that or run a lot of copies of the same creature. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-land permanent not named Detention Sphere and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. When Detention Sphere leaves the battlefield, return the exile card to the battlefield under their owner's control. So, yeah, definitely an awesome card right there. Just like Oblivion Ring, except that it get rid of every permanent with the same name as the permanent that you target, and that you can't use a Detention Sphere on a Detention Sphere, but you can use it on an Oblivion Ring, I believe. Render Silent is a pretty neat spell, especially in the late game. Like in the early game, its second effect doesn't really matter, but in the late game, you shut down your opponent for a turn. It's not gonna be, you're not gonna be taking options out of his hand except for that turn, but you are going to shut him down for a turn if he really needs to do a lot of things with his with the cards in his hand. So you counter target spell, and its controller can't cast spells this turn. So that's pretty neat. And what's even better is that I guess once it resolves, you force your opponent to not be able to pull any combat tricks during combat and so on and so forth. Then we have whoops. You have a couple of riot controls. You gain 1 life for each creature your opponent controls. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you this turn. Alright, that's alright, I guess. I think this card is decent, but it's not something I would run unless I was playing an Azorius deck or something that kind of relies on... Well, I don't know. I don't even know about Azorius, but you know that the fact that it does two things, like many people wouldn't run a fog and many people wouldn't run a life gain card, but when you put these two things together, it sort of makes it better, and it sort of justifies running it because it can turn a game around and it can switch the tempo a little bit, especially in the late game. Droning Bureaucrats is a 4 cost 1/4. Each creature with spend X and tap it. Each creature with converted mana cost X can't attack or block this turn. That's pretty interesting. It's very specific and it's very, very costly if you're playing against an Eldrazi deck, but aside from that, it can help you out in some situations. Azorius Justiciar, I guess it's called, is a 4-cost 2/2, and when Azorius Justiciar enters the battlefield, detain up to 2 target creatures your opponent controls. This is a really powerful spell because it hits the table. It takes care of 2 of your opponent's creatures so that he can't swing in with them, he can't block with them, he can't activate their abilities, and it gives you feet. Like, it gives you a 2/2. So that's really good. Wise and Snitches, 4-cost 1/3 with flying, and players play with the top card of their libraries revealed. Not entirely sure that I think this belongs in the deck, but well, the thing about it is that it gives away information to your opponent, but it also gives away your opponent's information to you, so you know what you have coming. And if you keep enough detain spells in hand, then you probably have answers for your opponent's threats. Soulsworn Spirits, 4-cost 2/1, and it cannot be blocked. When it enters the battlefield, detain target creature an opponent controls. So that's pretty interesting. The fact that it's unblockable, or it can't be blocked, is the modern phrasing of that ability. And the fact that it detains a creature really switches up the tempo at a certain point in the game, or even early game. Martial Law, 2-cost enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, detain target creature an opponent controls. You can see with all these detained creatures, it's going to be difficult for your opponent to actually get to swing in. Then you have Lavinia of the 10th, a 5-cost legendary creature with that's a 4/4 with protection from red, and when she enters the battlefield, detain each non-land permanent your opponent controls with converted mana cost 4 or less. That is huge. When she enters the battlefield, she says, you don't get to do shit. So that's really, really good, especially in conjunction with this fella, the Deputy of Acquittals, because you can just bounce it back and recast it. Then we have Archon of the Triumvirate. Triumvirate? I don't know, that's a difficult word to pronounce. A 7-cost with flying, and when he enters the battlefield, he detains up to 2 target non-land permanents your opponent controls. I've never seen the card art this up close. Looks kind of strange, but really insane and crazy. But really cool card, 4/5 with flying, and the fact that it detains 2 creatures. It's a little expensive to cast, but at this point in the game, it probably does something that that your opponent isn't too happy about. Then you have the Wind Reader Sphinx, which is either a reprint or a new card. I believe it's a new card, but I don't know. 7-cost 3/7 with flying, and whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. So that's really helpful for this deck. Let's take a look at what we have in the sideboard here. We have 30 cards unlocked. I'm not going to be playing with any of them because I don't generally do that when I showcase the decks. I just showcase the default deck. But yeah, let's take a look at it. We have the Misthollow Griffin, 4-cost 3/3, and with flying, and you may exile Misthollow Griffin. You may cast Misthollow Griffin from exile. So that's definitely interesting. It makes it so that there are certain kinds of removal which are not helpful to get rid of the Misthollow Griffin. Then I guess you could also cast it if it was Oblivion ringed. That's sort of nutty. Detention Sphere, a 3-cost. Yep, I already talked about it. What am I doing? You have the Render Silent. Then you have Grand Arbiter Augustine the Fourth, which is an original Ravnica, the City of Guilds card, or maybe a Ravnica. No, maybe it was actually a Dissension card, to be honest. 4 cost 2/3, and we also saw it, by the way, in the last year's iteration of this the Duels of the Planeswalker series in the Aura Servants deck. So, white spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, blue spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and spells your opponent cast cost 1 more to cast. So he's just unfair like that, but he's really, really good, definitely. Wind Reaver, never seen that before, I think. 5 cost 1/3, flying, and for 1 white, it gains Vigilance until end of turn. For 1 white, it gains +0/+1, or Stone Skin as I like to call it. For 1 blue, switch Wind Reaver's power and toughness until end of turn, and for 1 blue, return Wind Reaver to its owner's hand. So it's kind of like a slightly worse, but still not bad, kind of really good Aetherling. That's what it's called. Really cool. Azor's Elocutors, that's the name. Azor's Elocutors is a 5 cost 3/5 unfair creature, I'd like to call it. Now, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a filibuster counter on Azor's Elocutors. So it's basically a Republican. Then if Azor's Elocutors has 5 or more filibuster counters on it, you win the game. Whenever a source deals damage to you, remove a filibuster counter from Azor's Elocutors. So whenever he actually has to go pee, or is dying of thirst. You have a second Archon of Triumvirate. You have a Magus of the Moat, which is a 4 cost 0/3. Creatures without flying can't attack. That's sort of like, what the hell is that? Island Sanctuary, I think it's called. A card that I used to run in my old Stasis deck. Such a great and unfair card when you pair it with Sarah Angels. And also Winter Orbs, not to forget. Archon of Redemption is another Archon. I guess these guys are kind of like spirits flying on half lion Pegasi kind of creatures. There's a 5 cost 3/4 with flying whenever, I guess it was in the Celestial Light deck last year. Whenever it or another creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain life equal to that creature's power. Then you have Chancellor of the Annex, I guess is a New Phyrexia type card, or Mirrodin type card, or something like that. It's a 7 cost 5/6. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, when each opponent casts his or her first spell of the game, counter that spell unless that player pays 1. Flying, whenever an opponent casts a spell, counter it unless that player pays 1. What? Oh, okay. So it basically makes it so that your opponent is not able to cast his 1-drops on turn 1, or can't cast his 2-drops on turn 2. It slows him down a little bit, and then when you get him into play, him, her, it kind of messes up your opponent's plans a little bit. Gravitational Shift, we saw that in the Crosswinds deck last year, and it makes it so that creatures with flying gets +2/+0, creatures without flying gets a -2/-0, and it is this looks like Emrakul, I think. As they awakened, the Eldrazi reasserted their mastery over all Zendikar's natural forces, and shit hit the fan real quick. Wall of Denial, another one of these, another Liev Sky Knight, Stoic Ephemera, a couple of Flicker Wisps is not bad, especially not with this gal, or this guy, or any detained creature. You have a second Droning Bureaucrat, you have a couple, you have a second and a third Azorius Justiciar, which I would definitely run. I think I would also run the Flicker Wisp and a couple other things in here. Favorable Winds, creatures you control with flying get +1/+1, also from the Crosswinds deck last year. And I believe from one of the Innistrad blocked sets, at least judging from the Avicen symbol right here. Anyway, and the flavor text. Anyways, probably from Avicen Restored. Okay, anyways, I would probably run that as well, maybe a second one as well. Arctic Avon, 2 cost 2/1 with flying, and it gets +1/+1 as long as you control a plane. That's pretty good. Makes it a 3/2, and you can give it lifelink until end of turn. Decent card, nothing amazing, but pretty decent. Another Warden of Eva's Isle. I think I would also run that as well, because they make each other cheaper, so kind of like what's it called? You know, the artifact creature that makes all other artifacts cheaper. Sort of like that. Wise and Snitches, you have another one of those. You have a couple more Soulsworn Spirits. You have another Deputy of Acquittals. You have another Mana Tithe, and you have another Riot Control. Alright, that's enough deck manager nonsense. Let's dive right into it. Alright, so slight problem here. I tried to First of all, I tried to play a deck that ended up having 20 cards in it, so nope, I had to go back and choose another opponent. Second of all, I keep getting my ass handed to me by this Esper deck. I'm playing against the Esperium, or the Esper Irriment. Sorry, I guess that's the Great Experiment Esperiment. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, but it's another one of the Firemines decks, and it's not very polite. Let's just say that. And this card might be a little bit broken. I think I need to test it out again, but I think that it actually sacrifices as soon as it's declared a blocker, which is not what it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be sacrificed after damage resolves, I think. All right. Let's keep the hand. I've been mana flooded as well in the 2 previous matches. Not because this deck is running a bunch of lands, like more lands than any other deck. Court Homunculus. All right. All right. That's a staple in these kinds of decks, I guess. Yeah. All right. Sack this. Get ourselves an island. Ooh, it's the next thing I was about to draw. Awesome. Well, I would actually like to draw something else than a land. Esper Stormblade. As long as you control another multicolored permanent, Esper Stormblade gets +1/+1 and has flying. Well, no dice. No dice. Kind of want the Wall of Denial down, just to be able to block everything. Yeah, that's not bad though. Tell you what, let's drop the arrestor here. Arrest this guy, and if he wants to, he can swing in with this thing. Next turn, hopefully not having a second multicolored spell or artifact or creature or whatever. Yeah, I'll happily trade. It's all about getting you to wind down. Ooh, what the hell? Flash! No! Well, that actually it doesn't help him because I've already blocked, and his guy. Whoa! What? What the hell? When I've actually blocked it, it doesn't matter if it gains flying. What is going on here? Oh, that's what's going on here. It got, yeah, okay. Damn, it sucks to play against that deck. Sucks so much. Let's play Wall of Denial. And I think I would like to have martial law down very, very soon, so I can start taking care of his his bigger threats. I don't have any answers for his nonsense right now. So right now this is not a great showing of the Azorius deck. Oh great, non-artifact spells are cheaper to cast. Just what I needed in life. Okay, that's not bad. I might have to cast something else first. Yeah, let's cast this and see how it actually works. I thought it was a 3... What the hell? Did I read this wrong? Non-artifact spells cost 1 more to cast. Great! Just what I needed. Man. Really not a fan of that deck. It's really messing me up. Okay. Oh, awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. That's what you want to see. Alright. Okay, let's get you down. Let's make sure this thing doesn't swing in. Holy bananas. Swing in? No, that's odd. Okay. Well, well. This is not really gonna do anything. I'm just gonna hold back for a Deputy of Acquittals. Oy. Nope. Okay. Great. Well, he's not going to be using it. I'm just going to cast Deputy of Acquittals so I can recast this thing if I need to. That's actually not bad, but it is not what I'm looking for, to be honest. Huh. If you insist. I don't think I would have done that if I owned Master of Ethereum. Because at some point that Master is going to become an 8/8 and he's just going to be able to swing into the Wall of Denial here and deny me whatever I needed. Great! Another one! Awesome! What the hell is going on with this deck? It's just too good. Alright. He's just fucking building all over there, and I'm gaining. I have nothing. Still not gonna swing in. Alright. Need to detain that 8/8. Hoi! This fucking sucks. I can't for the life of me see how I would win this match. He's just completely out aggroed my deck, and I have no answers for his nonsense. Yeah, congrats. At least he's not throwing any other creatures. Neither am I, apparently. I would like this down so I can detain 2 things, and yeah, here's the great thing. His guy is an 8/8, and he will now be able to swing directly into... Great! Awesome! I really need to take care of everything he's got going on over there. Yeah, what a surprise. What a surprise. That's gonna block that. That's gonna block that. Take care of that golem. This thing is gonna block what? This thing. Okay, so I take 9 points of damage. Well, that's awesome. See! Oh, okay, it did work. Alright, good thing. Wow, I lost a lot of things that turn. No, I'm not gonna detain my own creature. That would be kind of dumb, don't you agree? Well, look who's late to the party. Kind of want him down, but no, let's play a guild mage so I can detain 2 things each turn if need be, and so I can play the riot control when he swings in, which he inevitably is going to do. Oh! What in the world? What? Return it to the battlefield. Ha! Great, so I can't even fucking riot control. Well, tell you what, I've been trying to play this game a couple of times, and I can't win it. I simply can't win it with this deck, so I'm not going to be replaying it anymore. I'm just going to be taking the beating here, and that's going to be that. Sorry that this was not more of an interesting match or an interesting showcasing of the Azorius deck, but turned out the experiment was just way better. So yeah. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. I'm multeyemeteor, and I'll see you in the next one. Later!